Today we are going to open up the Sage Barista Pro. This is a machine that I've seen before at other people's houses who I'm friends with, but I've never actually opened up or tried myself. So what we're going to do is open this guy up today, see what it comes with, and commission it with water, with beans, get the grinder set up, and pull an espresso and pull a cappuccino, because you know what, I could use a coffee. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna have to move this to the bottom. Alright, so true to form, it comes with all the accessories that you normally get with all of the barista models, and I do think that's a really good thing, and part of the reason that they're such good sellers is that they come with everything that you need. So it comes with a tamper. This is a magnetic one. It gets sucked up into the machine, which is very cool. Comes with this razor here that you can use for scraping off the excess espresso powder you might have in your basket. I never really used these myself. And it comes with 4 filter baskets. So the one that comes in the portafilter is a double basket, non-pressurized, as you can see by all the holes on the bottom. So that's the one that I pretty much always use, is that double basket. And what that means is that you're generally going to put right around 16 grams of coffee powder in, and if you're going for a 2-to-1 ratio, then you're going to get about 32 grams out into your cup. A lot of people also like to use the singles, and a single espresso, you know, somewhere around the half that, anywhere between 8 and 10 grams generally. And so people will then have to use this one. These are a little bit more challenging to use. I do find that puck prep and maybe grinding just a little finer is important when doing that. But again, for me, I like to have a little bit more coffee, a little more caffeine, and so I always stick to the double myself, and that's just for me to have a drink. I don't split them. It also comes with these 2 pressurized baskets. So you can see there's just one hole there on the bottom, little pinhole. On the other side, you've got all the holes here on the bottom of the basket. And so these create pressure through that double wall process. Then we've also got directions. I do recommend that you read through all the directions because they're very well written. Sage, Breville machines, they do a great job, I have to say.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
Now this is the important part, and what we have to get set up here is the water filter. A lot of places in the world, they've got really, really hard water, and so do we. So therefore, we're going to use this filter, because the thing is, in your tap water, you got minerals in there. You got calcium, magnesium, various other minerals. And the issue with all those minerals in the water is that eventually they can clog up your high pressure lines if you don't use a water filter and if you don't descale regularly. So I'm going to set this at, what month are we starting at? Just about May. So I'm going to set that starting at the month 5, 6, 7. These last about 3 months. I'm going to stick that here into the carrier, and then we have to submerge this in water for a little bit. Now this also comes with a cleaning kit. The most important one is this right here, the back flushing disc. So that's what you're going to put here into your portafilter, and you can back flush your machine. You've got a pokey thing that you use to poke out your steam wand tip. And finally, you've got a couple of cleaning tablets. You put one of these on this back flushing disc, put this here inside your portafilter, and start the back flushing process. And of course, here's the most important part, the machine itself. Oh. All right, now we're starting to get somewhere. We got the machine unpacked, but what I want to do next is take a look at this milk pitcher, for the reason that we are going to fill this up with water so that we can get our filter primed. Oh, very nice. Also comes with some descaler. So I'm going to take this water filter and I'm going to submerge it in water to prime it for when we put it into our water tank. So that's got to sit in there for about 5 minutes. You know what? The next thing we're going to do before we go any further is, in my experience, the grinders here on all of these Sage Barista models or Breville Barista models, they're set here at a number 5 on the inner collar. So you got 2 ways to adjust the grinder. Of course, the main one is here on the outside. That's how you adjust how coarse or how fine it gets. But there's also a setting here on the inside of this Burr collar. Don't know how well you can see it, but it's designated by that red dot there and the number that you're at. So the default is actually set at 6, and I normally set it at 3. So what we're going to do is remove this guy here, and I am going to move this from 6 down to 3. Because for me, that gives me a fine enough grind. If I leave it sitting at 6 the whole time, then I can set this as fine as I want, and I don't get a grind fine enough for espresso. So what I did is set this from 6 down to 3, just by adjusting the inner collar, and I'm gonna put that back in now. All right, let's have a look at the water tank next. Now, I kind of think that after the Barista Express, this is their next best-selling model. And I think it's for a couple of reasons. One of them is that this guy comes with that really fast thermojet technology, so this should be ready to go in just 3 seconds. It's also got a much nicer steam wand than does a Barista Express. And it comes with, take a look at this, a water sensor. Perfect. Also, my variant came with a funnel. That is a nice touch. Take a look at that. A nice 54mm funnel so that you can do some WDT. Very nice. All right, that's interesting. This one has got Baratza branding on it. European Precision Burrs is what it says on there. So it looks to me like, yeah, they updated the burr design in here. This is actually a relatively old machine, but they've got the new 6-bladed conical burr inside from Baratza. That's pretty nice. All right, so we're just going to stick that bean hopper on top. We'll put some beans in there in just a little bit. Next, I'm gonna rinse this out. We'll fill it up with water and we'll get started. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do next, this has been sitting in there primed for at least 5 minutes. I'm gonna stick that here into the machine and let's fill that up with water. I'll turn around the machine so you can see what the back looks like. All right, and let's stick that onto the machine. Just like so. As you can see, the sides are made out of stainless steel, which is a nice touch. The drip tray, at least the cover, is made out of stainless steel. And what I like about it, you know, Sage, they always put a lot of thought into their designs. They make this really easy to wipe off. So that's the drip tray design, just like that. It's also got a float in there to let you know when you gotta empty it. And you'll notice that the surfaces are smooth. There's not a whole lot of things jutting out that you have to clean extra. And in particular, the drip tray cover here is really smooth and nice. Nice to wipe off with a rag. That's important because you know what? Espresso making, it gets dirty. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and put a couple of our tools right away in here. That's a cool thing. This machine comes with a cubby hole. So you can just stick that in there, and also it's symmetric. So it's got a little lip here on which it gets pulled out of the back of the machine. Doesn't matter which way you put it in, this little lip here is going to catch onto the other lip and pull it right out. Very nice. Finally, we'll go ahead and stick the portafilter in. Oh, that's a tight fit. Just so you know, it's just tight in the beginning. Plop our tamper in there. Let's turn it on. All right, it's telling me it wants to flush, so I'm just going to hit one of the buttons and see how it flushes out of the system. Try again. One more time. There we go. It's getting there. Okay, still going. Flush in progress. There it's coming out, as you can see. That is a good thing. It's important whenever you get a brand new machine or a machine that has been sitting in storage for a while that you get the whole circuit primed with water. And this is a pretty smart machine to realize that it's got to flush upon being commissioned. Okay, let's just make sure that the hot water spout is also working. So I'm just gonna flip this lever towards the back. Oh, and there it comes. All right, great. So we got everything primed. The next step is let's fill up our grinder hopper and let's grind some coffee and see what we get out of it. Alright, now what is quite neat about this machine is that it's got an encoder here on the side so you know where you're at on the grind settings. I don't currently have any beans in there, and so I'm just going to start the grinder and let's take a look at the range. Alright, so the range goes all the way up to 30, and actually you can step it down. It feels to me like it's stepless, but the encoder tells me I'm at 15 right now. That's right in the middle of the range, and that's where we're going to start and just see how our espresso turns out. And based on that, we can either make the grind a little finer or a little coarser, depending on how long it takes to come out and how it tastes. Now, it's also got a timer on there, 13 seconds. I'm going to move that down to 10 for now, because I'm going to aim for 11. Let's try 11. 11, because I know that these conical grinders generally do about 1.5 grams per second, so that's going to give me probably 16, 17 grams. Let's just give it a shot. I am using fresh beans, freshly roasted beans here from a local roastery. Also very important for really coffee of any method, but espresso, I think it's even more important because that's where you get the nice crema or the nice aroma. And so yeah, make sure you're getting nice freshly roasted beans. All right, so what we're gonna do is make ourselves, oh, is that tight? Make ourselves a dose here. And I'm gonna even use this nice funnel here so that we can do a little bit of WDTing while we're at it. So I'm gonna tear out my scale and let's see what we get. 15.4, I was pretty close. That's gonna be, I can tell, if you can listen to that, it's not powder, it's more like, that's definitely gonna be still too coarse. I can tell just based on how it feels and how it sounds on my hand. You need it to be finer than that. Not like a talc powder, but certainly finer than what this is here. So I'm gonna dump this one and we're gonna set it finer. I'm gonna go down to 10. I still don't think that's going to be fine enough. I'm going to go down to 6 or 7 and adjust this a little bit because it did let out 18 grams. Now that the grinder is starting to get more beans in it. So I'm going to go down to 10 seconds. I'm going to go down to 6 on the grind and then we're going to give it a shot. It's just part of dialing in a new machine. That's how it goes. No big deal. 14.6. Let me go back up by half a second. You can also just tap this. Once to start, once to stop. I want to get 16 grams. So now we got 15.8. I'm going to call that good. And now listen to this. It sounds finer, doesn't it? It's not as abrasive as before. Do a little WDT and let's just see how close we are to actually getting a decent espresso in a decent amount of time. Excellent. That's what the puck looks like right there. One thing you want to be careful of if you're using a scale is to make sure the back of the scale here doesn't hit the machine. Because if the back of the scale hits anything, then it's not going to measure correctly. I'm going to tear that out. I got this new little guy here, and I'm going to see if I can get the shot with this. Go. Oh, that's still pretty fast. Okay, so including pre-infusion, to get my 2-to-1 ratio, I put 16 in and I got 34 out. That took just 22 seconds. So what I would do actually is grind finer, but that's what we got there. I mean, for a first attempt, that's not too bad. But I bet that we can do better. It's lacking just a little bit of temperature, and it's, I don't know, slightly astringent maybe. Let's go ahead and do another dose. We're gonna grind just a little finer and see how that turns out for us. Normally they come out clean. That is the reason why I say you have to tighten the grind on the inside collar first, because we actually started up at 6 and I moved it to 3, and I have to go all the way to the bottom of the range here on the outside dial with fresh beans. So, clean up my mess. I'm gonna go all the way down to 2. And you should always adjust the dial here while it's grinding. And do keep in mind that if you're doing it during a grind, it's not going to take effect immediately. We might have to grind 1 or 2 more times to see that full effect. But I'm gonna try this out anyway and see. Yeah, now it's looking pretty good. Oh, just 12. And of course, as you grind finer, it takes longer to grind. So just 12 grams there. I'm going for 16, so I gotta add some. 14.8. Now 16.5. Now you don't have to be so anal every single time you do this, obviously, with the weigh-in, but the first time commissioning, anytime you're switching your beans, you want to measure out and make sure that the time that you're inputting here is getting you the dose that you want. Because the baskets, like this one here, the double, is made for 16 to 18 grams. And if you fill it with just 12, well, you're not gonna get any pressure on the extraction because there's just not enough coffee in there. You don't wanna overfill it either, because if you overfill it, then you're gonna end up stalling your extraction. So it really is important to make sure to get your dose right. That is, I think, one of the most important things when you're starting out. Get that dose right. You know, another thing, I can feel that this glass is cold, so what I'm gonna do is add some water to it. I'm gonna warm that sucker up. If you're using the machine from Cold Start, oh, fill tank, very nice. That's telling me I gotta fill it. Considering that you can't see the back, that has happened to me so many times that I start a shot on the other ones, like the Barista Express or Express Impress, and then it would just stop. It would abort because it wasn't getting any more water. This one tells you fill it up. Anyhow, what I was saying is if you're using this machine from Cold Start, and let's say that your cup is cold, your portafilter is cold, you're not going to get a very hot shot, and it's not going to be tasty. You're not going to be able to extract it as well. It might be astringent. It's just not going to be as good. So I really recommend to warm up the portafilter first, warm up your cup, and then you will be much closer to getting a good espresso. So that's warmed up. Let's see how this shot turns out. Oh, that's looking quite a bit better there. So you got little mouse tails coming out. That at this point is probably a little bit too fine. I think I'd back off, maybe go up to level of 3 or 4 next. Oh, great. It stopped right at 32 grams for me, but the time was too long. Anyhow, that's our espresso right there. Let's see how that is. Well, the nice thing is it's much hotter than it was before. And I get nice dark chocolate notes, but it is also a little bitter. I think the shot ran too long, but that's okay. We are dialing in the machine. So for the next one, I am going to dial back a little bit, go from 2 to, let's say, I'll go to 4, I think. And then I think we're gonna be in good shape. And I also reduced my time here to 12 seconds. How much we got there? 16.7. I wanted to get 16.0. Let's turn that down. Okay. Again, same thing here with the WDT. just to make sure that the grinds are distributed as well as they can be. That does help your extraction to be more evenly extracted. So that's our puck right there. Already it's getting easier to insert the portafilter. That's looking pretty good. Not bad. That'll be our final espresso for today. You can see it's got a nice thick head of crema on top. It's already getting pretty good. That one's got more balance to it, certainly more sweetness. Also a bit of pleasant acidity in that shot. I would say that we're getting pretty close at this point. You can adjust the grind fineness a little bit more to your liking, or you can adjust the ratio. I find that with darker beans, like medium to dark, it's sometimes nicer to actually reduce the ratio a little bit, go more for like a 1.5 to 1 ratio, so that I'm going more for like 24 grams out. But yeah, at this point you're close enough that you can adjust the parameters and see that if you can get the shot even closer to your liking. And that's the fun part about espresso, is there's a lot of experimentation. Now I would like to move on to milk steaming, because this machine is really excellent at milk steaming. Okay, so I just wanted to purge it first. Now we're going to fill up our pitcher with some good cold milk, fresh milk. I like to use fatty milk to give more of a creamy texture. And let's do some milk steaming. You can see it's got more than enough power to get a really nice whirlpool going. And once you stretch the milk a bit, inject air to the point that it adds about 1 centimeter of volume, then you can just let it churn. That's plenty hot already. All right, then what we're gonna do, pour our espresso here into our cup. Cup is cold, by the way, that's not ideal. And let's see if we can pour ourselves a cappuccino. Not too bad. Not too bad. And how does it taste? Very nice. I love cappuccinos just for the creaminess that you get for them. It's one of my favorite drinks all time. I just love a good cappuccino with a nicely textured milk. And for me, that's what really makes it. You gotta spend some time, practice, in getting a good texture. You don't want it too thin and don't want it too thick, or you can't do any kind of latte art. All right, I think I'm gonna do one last thing today. I wanna make a cappuccino this time, but with a shorter ratio. I wanna do a 1.5 to 1 ratio on the cappuccino, because I've been liking them more lately, especially with these darker beans. Let's do that one time. See, look at that. Normally it works. All right, let's go over the workflow from above. We're gonna start with WDT. Then we're going to give it a good tamp with the Normcore 53.3 millimeter tamper and stick it in the machine. Now I'm going to tear out my scale, and I'm going to aim for getting about 24 grams out. I'm looking to get a nice deep brown color in the extraction, and I'm looking for a good flow, which this looks like here. I'm going to stop it at 24 and move on to steaming milk next. Make sure to position the steam wand tip in one quadrant of the pitcher to get it rotating very well, as you see here. That's going to give you the texture that you need. Clean up the steam wand, polish your milk a little bit, then you can pour it into your espresso to create the canvas. After that, just glide the milk on. Sometimes it works better than others depending on the strength of your espresso and also on how sticky it is. Here it worked out pretty well. Alright, so what did we do today? We commissioned this machine, we got it set up with water, got it primed, we got the bean hopper filled, the grinder set up, we dialed in the grinder, dialed in our shots, and made ourselves a few cappuccinos. Took me a few tries to get decent latte art, but that's how it goes. Practice, practice, practice. And anyhow, we also used a couple of tools that don't come with the machine. One is a different pitcher. You see this one has got more of a lip to it than this one does that comes with the machine, and I do prefer that. Also, we use this Normcore Tamper. You know, I like the included one because it's magnetic and it's just always in its place, and that's good. But this one will help you to tamp evenly and to get rid of the extra powder around the rims, so that's nice. And then finally, just a simple WD-T tool like this one here. It costs 15-20 bucks. You can find all of this stuff on Amazon very easily. I'll put a few links in the video description. I hope that you guys like this video, and whoever's new to this machine or who just received it as a gift or bought it, I hope that this video will help you to get it commissioned, help you to get a good espresso and steam some milk. Until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy espresso drinking. Bye now.